Recently, I needed a way to ensure that my JavaScript array of objects does not contain a duplicate of objects based on an ID key or a name. Now, I saw some approaches that required a for loop, but I also found something really interesting that I wanted to show you today. Now, this came through from a few Stack Overflow links, and I will show them in the link below. And when we get started, we will go through building a quick array of objects. And if you want to skip that and just copy and paste that in and follow along, I'll provide a link in the description below for you to do that. Okay, so let's get started first with building our array of objects. Let's go with const, and we'll go my array, and open up our braces. We'll hit enter here, and then we will have in our first object, we'll call that name, and we'll call this one Eva Devore maybe, and we'll say character, and this one is Evandra. Extra points if you know the reference to this, and the episode. Number of episodes she's been in is 15, not 15. Cool. And let's just select all this. We'll add a comma here first, and then we'll select all this, Control C, and we'll go enter, Control V, and we'll just update this again. So another character is going to be Alessia, I think, and Medina, and her character name is Nixie, and she's also been in 14 episodes. And we'll do the same again, and we'll hit enter, and Control V, and our next character is Kendall Drury, and he is the DM, and he's been in 15 episodes, sorry, and so has Alicia as well. Made a mistake there, but they're updated now. We'll go and hit enter and Control V to paste, and our next character is Thomas Torfin, sorry. And his character's name is Antris, and he's been in 14 episodes. And just for this tutorial, let's make a duplicate one, and we'll call Alessia in twice. And our goal here is to remove the duplicate. So you can see here I've got Alessia here, and then we've got Alessia here, and our coding goal is to remove one of these. All right, so we've got our characters in place. Let's get started with our code. Okay, so let's call this let's unique object obj array equal, and to get a unique array of objects, so to remove one of these Alessias out, we are going to first create a new array, and then we are going to go ... to create a spread syntax. And here we're going to use new map. And I'll explain how this works in a moment. We'll just go through the simple process first if you just want to play along for this bit, and then afterwards I'll go through an explanation and show you how it works if you want to follow along. Okay, next one is object. So we'll say our object array, which is this one here. So the name is my object array. So go my, there it is there. It's the first one, we'll just hit enter. And we're going to map through this now. So map, and then in our map, our parameter is going to be the item. So you can just put item on its own, or what I like to do is put it inside curly braces, because otherwise I will forget when I have multiple parameters. And then we'll do a arrow function. And what we want the map to return on each iteration is the first thing we want it to return is the item. And remember, the item is going to be one of these objects. So each of these objects as it iterates through. So then we can say item, and we'll call it name, because we know there's two of the same name here. So we'll go item, and we'll go name. And then our next array is going to be just the item. So the just item here is going to be, as it iterates through, the whole object. So the first part of this is going to be just the name. So for example, it's going to be Alessia Medina, it's going to be Thomas Torfman, it's going to be Kendall Drury. And then in the first element of this array will be the entire item, which will be each of these objects. All right, cool. And then once all that's done, we are going to just get the values. Hit values. Make sure it's on the left-hand side of this last array, because we're going to put all this inside this outer array here. So values, and we'll close that off here. We'll hit enter. And hopefully we've got it all. And let's console log that. Log, so you can see what's going on. And unique. And it should be this first one here. Now we'll just go to a terminal here. And we'll go to node. And our file name is vals. Will we save? Will we saved? Control save. Okay, cool. Now let's put that on a new line, but imagine it's a single line. And let's try that again. And you can see now that we've got the same array of objects, but this time it only has a unique array of objects here. So the Alicia Medina that we had a duplicate of has been removed out. So what we can do, just to make sure we understand how this works, is we can change this item to, say, episodes, and we know that there's a couple of duplicate episodes here. So let's just do that very quickly. We can say episodes, and hit save, and we'll just run our terminal again. And now we can see that we only have two left, because there was only two different episode lengths that these characters were in. Okay. And just incidentally, while we're looking at it here, we can see Thomas Torfman had 14 episodes. There's a 14 there. And there's also Eva Devore, or Eva Devore. She had 14, but it didn't collect that one. So it caught the last one of Thomas. And we can see Alessia Medina. And you can see Alessia Medina here, and then at the bottom. And actually what's happening is it catches and inserts the last object, not the first object. So keep that in mind for your own processes. Okay, so how does it all work? Let's have a look. So I'll get rid of this console log, and we'll put in some testing code here. Okay, so the first thing we might want to look at is this array map process, just to see how that operates. Let's call this let test underscore unique object array, and we'll just go map, just so we know what we're doing. And we'll say equals, and we'll use our my object array map here. So we're basically just going to take all this through to here and put it in. So let's just copy that, and that should all close out okay. And let's console log this one and see what sort of results we're going to get now. So let's just copy this in here, copy, and we'll just put this in so we know what we're looking at, and a comma, and then let's save, Control S, and then down the bottom here we'll run. Map is a JavaScript method that allows you to iterate through each item in an array and modify that array in some manner. So for us, our modification is to, in this example, is we want to first create a second level array to make a 2D array. So this is the first level here. And if you look down here, you can see the second level. So this is another, the 0th second level array, the first second level array, the second level array, and so on. Okay, and then we say we want it by episodes. So the 0th item in each of the second level of arrays is going to be the episode number, like we have here. And then we have the original object as our first argument. So if I change this around to our original one, to names, or name, hit save, and we will rerun that. And you can see a little bit more bloated version. So here, and you can see now the 0th element in each one of these subarrays is going to be the name, and then the first element after that is going to be the object. What we're going to do next is use that in a map object. So let's have a look at this. So don't get confused with the map method, which works on an array. And now we're going to use the map object. And what the map object does is it stores key value pairs similar to an object. However, the map maintains the insertion order of the properties. You'll see map objects often displayed like this. So for example, keys, and then they'll have a little arrow, like an arrow function symbol, and then values. Something like this. And you'll see that in your console if you log it. So let's do an example like that. So let's just grab this. And what I'll do this time, just to get rid of the clutter, is I'll make use of this variable here and put it inside our map so you can see what's going on. Okay, so let's name this one we'll keep them similar, test, and we'll say unique array, and we'll say new map, because that's what we're going to do. We'll make a new map constructor. Hard to say constructor, it's more of an American term. We just say constructor without the OR sound. Okay, so next we type in new space map, and then we'll put our braces in, and we just want to put in this test unique object map that we've already mapped out here. Okay, so let's do that. Test unique object array. This one down the bottom here. I'll click on him. What happens with your new map? You can have a look at a 2D array like we created here, and it can convert this into a map object with the first element in each iteration being the key. So Alyssa Medina will be a key, and then Kendall Drury will be a key, and so on and so forth. And then the second element in each iteration will be the value. So let's console log and see what it looks like. So console.log, and we'll just copy and paste this in. Copy, paste, Control S to save. Let's go down to our terminal, drag this up a bit so you can see, and we will run it. Okay, and now you can see that if you have a look down in the console here, you can see that it's identified as a map here. And then within the map object, and the object is obviously identified by the curly braces, you can see this special map syntax here, where this Eva Devore is a key for our object. Because these are objects, it's like the Highlander. There can be only one. So if Eva Devore has multiple keys, then only one has to remain. So it will iterate over each key, and if it sees that same name again, it will update it with the next iteration. That's why it's the last one in the iteration that will be saved. So for us, that means our Alyssa Medina only appears once here because there can only be one key. Now, the problem we have here is that this is not displaying what we need. We only need to display these objects here in our array without these keys. So we need to get rid of these keys, and that's our next process. All right, so let's move on and work on that. Okay, so we can do a couple of things. We can get the key of each element in this map, or we can get the values. So the map object has a couple of methods that allow you to do it. And let's just get the key so you can see it very clearly, because the keys are very short, they're just names. So we'll say let, and then test, unique, obj, array, and we'll say new. I'll use that just for our example, and we'll use this above. So, and then we'll just call the values. So these turn into iterators, and it allows us to iterate through each element here with their key and value pair. And just to look at a list of values or keys, we can type in keys to get our list of keys. And we could console log that. And let's just grab this again, copy, and hit Control S to save. Let's go down and run it. And now you can see that we have a map iterator with our list of all our keys. And for example, I could say next here, and that will just get each one. So Eva Devore, and then let's hit save, and we can go up, hit enter, and if I typed in comma and then copied and pasted this will get us the next person on our list. Control C, and hit save, and we'll do that again. And you can see Eva Devore, Alessia Medina, and so on and so forth. So using that next allows us to iterate through each one. All right, so keep that in the back of your mind, because this sort of next iterator is something we'll be using in a moment to complete this process. But first, we've done the keys. The keys were easier for me to show you how things iterate. Let's use our object this time. So that's our values. So I'll get rid of this console log, and we'll just copy and paste this line 37, and let's change this to values, and let's change this to values, and let's just console log that so you know. So you'll see a map iterator of all the values this time, which will be each object. So hit Control C and Control V to paste, hit save, and let's run. And now you can see this map iterator down the bottom here in the console, and then on each iteration it has each one of our objects. Cool, so we're getting very close. Now keep in mind we've got our iterator here. So what we can then use is our spread syntax to spread this out along a new array. Okay, so let's just do that now. So let's get rid of this console log, and let's call this let test unique object array, and we'll underscore that, mixing up a bit of underscore and camel case like a crazy person. Nor new map underscore values, and then we'll underscore again as. Alright, don't worry, I don't normally write my variables like this, but it just makes it a bit clearer, I think, for you guys. Oh, it didn't spell values very well. That's okay. Cool, so equals, and this time we're just going to use simply our spread operator on this. So let's give that a crack. So we want to put this inside a new array, so we'll use our square braces. And then we use our spread operator, so dot dot dot. Okay, and then we just want to copy this variable in, and let's see what happens. Okay, so let's console log, and we'll whack that in here. Ink, copy, paste, save. All right, let's give this a run now and hit enter. And there you have it. Now we have our array of objects, and we now have a unique array of objects. So with this example, you can see that we've taken one of the properties in the object. So for example, we took the name property for each of the objects and then laid it back out. So let's go back up into our list here, laid it back out into its own key. So then we've got the Eva Devore key in a map object. And then in the value, we've got the entire object on each iteration. Okay, so we did that by using the new map, and then we just got the key values for each one, and then we used our spread syntax to lay each one back into a new array, and that makes our unique list of objects in an array. Performance-wise, it's not too bad. It runs about it's 15% slower on a test than a for loop, for example. And you can find out a little bit more information about that in the written tutorial I have attached to this in the link below in the descriptions. I hope you found this as interesting as I did. I really learned a lot more about the new map object in this process and learned a fun way of getting unique objects in an array by doing it. I'll catch you in another tutorial.